in order to fix this problem, we're going to need a couple parts. First thing we're going to need is obviously a kickstarter that needs a little bit of love. We're also going to need a couple parts to repair this. Now, I got mine online, and there's a lot of places online where you can get these. Or you can head down to your local motorcycle shop and order them there and pick them up. So what we're going to need, we need an O-ring. There's a small compression spring and also a steel ball bearing. And in addition to that, you're going to need something to remove this screw here. And they're usually pretty tight and they strip out easily. So what I recommend is an impact screwdriver. Now, I loosened mine off camera so I don't have to bore you guys with watching that. And you're also going to need a little bit of your favorite grease. So let's take a look at how this repair works. Now, like I said, I'm going to remove this screw. Now, this is still pretty tight in here, so if you excuse me 1 second, I'm going to step off camera and I'm going to get this out. I'll be right back. Try not to miss me too badly. Now, by popular demand, I'm back. Okay, got the kickstarter taken apart. There's the main kickstarter, but here is the main knuckle of the kickstarter. Now, this is the part that slides onto the shaft, and the main body of the kickstarter rotates on this knob. Now, the O-ring slides all the way down here against the base, and you can see right there that there's a hole in there, and that's where you stick the spring, and the ball bearing goes on top of that. And I really don't know if you guys can see this, but there's actually a little hole in there where that ball bearing sits, and that's what keeps the kickstarter in place when you put it back in to its stored position and keeps it from flopping around. So without further ado, let's just get right into this repair so I can show you guys how to fix this and get back on the tracks or the trails and not worry about this thing flopping out and whacking you in the leg. Okay, so like I said, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take your knuckle and your O-ring. And you're going to slide your O-ring all the way down until it bottoms out on the knuckle like so. Now at this point, you want to take just a little dab of your grease and lubricate that O-ring a little bit. It's just going to make it a little easier to put together, and it's also going to make it operate a little more smoothly. Now the next step, and you want to be a little bit careful with this because it's real easy to lose, especially once you get a little bit of grease on your fingertips. I'm going to take that tiny little compression spring and we're going to put it in its home right here in that hole. We're going to bottom that out. Can you see that? I don't know. Now, I'm going to take a little bit of grease again and I'm going to put it right on top of that spring. Now, the reason I'm doing that is so when I put this ball bearing in place, the grease will hold it a little bit. So there you go. That's what that should look like. Now your next step is you're going to take your kickstarter body and your knuckle and you're going to put them back together. So, and sounds a little bit easier than, because you got to try and compress that. There you go. Now look at that. That thing does not wobble at all and locks firmly into place. So now all that's left to do, I'm going to take this screw, put it back in the hole and thread it in there and tighten it up a little bit. And you might want to put a little bit of anti-seize on that thing so it's a little easier to get out in case you ever have to do this again. But once you get it all back together, you put it on the bike, you're good to go.